guys, let's talk about grid work. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about grid work and how we do this, and we're doing a ceremony tomorrow where we're going to be doing this firsthand. I'm going to show you how we can incorporate grid work for ourselves and also for the collective, specifically tomorrow working with prosperity consciousness. But this is really, really important for ourselves, for the land, and for the collective. So there's a collective grid overlaying the entire earth plane. And we'll start talking about grid work as it relates to land. So just like our bodies have meridian lines, the earth also has what's called ley lines. And these are different lines of power, essentially, that can be activated, that can be cleansed, that can get dirty and stuck, just like our own body can get messed up based on, things that happen in those specific places, especially if it's something traumatic. Also from the beings or guardians of those ley lines being dormant or being silenced. I'll just leave that part there. There's a multitude of reasons that ley lines can become dormant or not as active. And it's helpful for us to go into these places to help support the earth in activating. But there's also other ways we can be doing grid work, more on an energetic level, more on an energetic plane. We don't have to literally be somewhere physically in order to do that work all the time. So when you think about the collective grid, like for me, what I feel just as an intuitive and someone who feels things very deeply is like sticky, laced in fear and scarcity, like anchors, like chains tying the collective grid down to these really old, or not even old ways. It's like forms of, but it's not our original programming. And so the collective grid can utilize cleansing. We can activate the collective grid. We can infuse different energies into it. And when you're thinking about, some of the timelines that many of us are sensing coming, or there's evidence of certain things that may be in the works, hint, hint, maybe look at the UN 2030 plan, that sort of thing. But just in general, the collective grid can always use cleansing, and we can do that just through our own beingness, through upgrading and improving and activating ourselves, but we can also work directly on the collective grid. You also have a grid of your own energy, and so this can also be worked with directly. So this is a role that many of us have done in other lifetimes. We have mastery. We just innately and intuitively know what to do. I am one of these people. This is one of the things that I do. And this is something that I'm typically not sharing with people, but I just felt so called to offer this ceremony, which is happening tomorrow. You can get the replay if you're watching this at a later date and you want to join it or you want to watch it. I just had this really strong feeling for the last few weeks of like, the collective grid needs a prosperity attunement. It needs to have clean harmonic frequencies sent in. It is urgent and it is timely. And this also, when we're updating the collective grids, this also is impacting us. So tomorrow in the specific ceremony that we're going to be doing, we're going to be working on our own grids to help support us as we move into a new chapter, into our own new timeline, infusing our own grid with the energies of Lakshmi, with the energies of Golden Tara, and also with the cosmic dragons, with the rainbow light dragons, and of the platinum ray. So if you are curious about grid work and, when we're working on the energetic planes, this is going to be an awesome opportunity for you to see how we can actually do that. And I'm going to be leading the activation, working with, like I said, Lakshmi, Golden Tara, and the Platinum Ray Dragons, who are all very benevolent, loving beings that are going to support us in this. So also the cool thing is that at the time I'm hosting this, we're in the full moon right now. It's the last full moon before we go into eclipse season. So this is a very powered up time. And so whether you're watching this now or on the replay later, that energy is going to be coming through in the actual activation. So when you get this is something you can keep coming back to infuse whatever energies you'd like into your own personal grid, or continue doing work on the collective. So I can't wait to see you guys there tomorrow. Hopefully you can come live. It's always more fun when you're there live, and so whoever is there live is actually helping to inform the frequencies that are coming through. You guys watching the replay also call your energy in, but it's just more powerful if you're there live. So if you can be, please come live. But the information's in the link in my bio, or if you're watching this later, it'll just be on my website. You can go to the online store part and you can get it there. But grid work is a really, really important role of the light worker. And not for everybody, but for the people who feel drawn to it or feel curious about it, this is a very important part of stewarding the energy on the planet. And we're understanding how powerful energy is and how important it is for that to be stewarded. And just think about in your own life how that energy needs to be cleansed all the time, right? Like, how often are you doing cleansing things? How often are you saging? How often are you moving your body to move energy in yourself? And that's not really happening. And the last thing, this is crazy. So I was going to make this a shorter story. And I was talking about, how some of us are sensing that collectively there's some timelines that might be coming into reality that are very scary and that are not of our highest good and that would revoke a lot of our freedoms. And so us doing the cleansing on this collective grid is helping to support all of the people on the planet and becoming more activated themselves and being able to counteract some of those potential timelines. But the crazy part is when I was looking at, or when I was talking about that, literally out of the corner of my eye over here, I saw a black snake start to come up out of the water. And you might be like, oh, that's super scary. But I'm like, no, that's the dark feminine coming in of like, no, it is our responsibility to steward freedom and sovereignty in our life and us keeping and of course you could also see this as a sign of like, oh, dark energy's starting to come towards us. How do we cleanse the field so that those darker forces won't have the power to enact those timelines? Because we have just as much power as anyone who might be working with darker energies that are not of the highest good for all. We have the same amount of power. We just have to remember it and we use it. So anyway, I'm super excited about the ceremony tomorrow. Can't wait to see you guys there live. Send this to your friends if you know that they've been interested in learning about grid work or you think they might be interested in that. And this is all overlaid with prosperity consciousness, with abundance, because that is what will overtake the collective, the root of the grid right now, which is fear and scarcity. And we're trying to collectively get into a place where we're all operating from abundance consciousness.